My Reading Autobiography by Sam Costello. As I think back on my reading history, I have a fond memory of reading to my father a book called Fun with Dick and Jane by William Gray and Zerna Sharp. This book was to help me with reading and developing my vocabulary at an early age. I was not much of a reader when I was in elementary school, but my father was in the Navy and he trained recruits to be seamen. These recruits would bring comic books, but they weren't allowed to keep them. As a result, these comic books came home to me. I formed favorites like Spider-Man, Ghost Rider, Captain America, and the Incredible Hulk. But my favorite was Conan the Barbarian. I grew up in North Florida and played a role-playing game called Dungeons and Dragons in middle school. This role-playing game directed me into my first trilogy called Dragonlance by Margaret Weiss and Tracy Hickman. These fantasy novels followed the same theater as Dungeons and Dragons. These books excited my senses, and I could not wait to get home from school and read the next chapter. I didn't read much after that. I joined the U.S. Marines and left home. I worked and studied on helicopters and had to be deployed overseas several times. I took some books with me, one titled Bury My Heart at Wounded Knee by D. Brown, which is a collection of stories about Native Americans and the struggles they had with the encroachment of white man. The second book was Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. This classic novel was not like the movie. It was fascinating to read of the inner conflict that Dr. Frankenstein had after creating life. I didn't read much after the Marines. I read a book here and there and some magazines I subscribed to, but my fascination for classic literature and nonfiction books took off after attending Durham Tech Community College. There I read Native American stories, narratives by African slaves, Spanish and English explorers, abolitionist letters and speeches, Romantic era poets like Keats, Coleridge, Wordsworth, and Clare, 20th century novelettes titled The Heart of Darkness by Joseph Conrad. The classics were further fed to me when I came to NC State and reading novels as The Odyssey and the Iliad by Homer, Dante's Inferno, the Aeneid by Virgil, plays by Shakespeare, Hamlet, and Henry V, plays by Sophocles, Antigone, and Ajax. This is my story on how books and literature has excited me. I hope you will get excited with books and literature too, and the many places it will take you on a joyful ride.